welcome to the deep dive. Today we're asking you to maybe shelve all your preconceptions about things like motivation and willpower.
Yeah, put those aside for a bit.
Instead, imagine your brain not as this, mysterious squishy lump of feeling, but as a piece of advanced engineering. What if success wasn't about luck or some massive surge of effort, but simply feeding this internal machine the correct, precise coordinates?
That mechanical insight, that's really the foundation of today's deep dive. We're going to peel back the layers on this concept that the human mind operates like a highly accurate, self-guided missile.
A missile. Okay.
Yeah, I know it sounds dramatic, but it's a mechanism that automatically steers you toward the destination you program into it, whether you do it consciously or, well, accidentally.
Right.
And this idea, it's rooted in Dr. Maxwell Maltz's work, Psycho-Cybernetics. He basically treated achievement like a systematic process. Engineering, almost.
So our mission today is to really understand the nuts and bolts of this internal guidance system. We need to unpack the mechanics of what Maltz called the servo-mechanism.
Right, the servo-mechanism.
How this internal autopilot works, why it's blindly obedient, which sounds a bit scary.
They can be, yeah.
And, crucially, how you, the listener, can stop programming it for accidental failure and actually start directing it toward tangible achievement.
Oh.
We're moving from philosophy to engineering.
Exactly. And to really get the engineering, we kind of need to start with the inventor who was, well, unexpected. Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Back in the 50s and 60s, he was a very celebrated plastic surgeon.
A plastic surgeon, not a psychologist.
Nope. He wasn't studying self-help. He was quite literally reconstructing faces, fixing faces, as they might have said then.
And his operating room, it basically became this involuntary lab for human psychology.
That's a great way to put it. He observed something really counterintuitive. Some patients, after getting physically transformative surgery like fixing a severe scar or a feature they hated, they'd walk out and their whole personality, their life outcomes, they just shifted for the better. They felt liberated.
Okay, that makes sense. You look better, you feel better.
But here's the puzzle. This is what forced him to write the book. Other patients, they had equally successful surgical results, physically perfect, but they stayed utterly miserable.
Still miserable, even after the change.
Yeah. They'd look in the mirror and despite the, physical perfection, they were still seeing the same ugly face they saw before. Maltz realized the physical change just didn't matter if the internal map, the self-image, was still broken.
Ah, okay. So the core finding wasn't really about appearance at all.
Not fundamentally, no. It was that self-image was the thing determining happiness and success. And this realization led him to define this servo-mechanism.
Okay, let's clarify that term, though. Servo-mechanism. It sounds technical. What is it, basically?
Well, think of it like a closed-loop control system, like a thermostat in your house, or maybe the guidance system in a torpedo or a modern drone.
Right, okay.
It does three main things. It measures where you actually are right now, the output. It compares that to where you want to be, the desired input, the goal you set.
And the third thing?
It automatically adjusts the system to close the gap, to minimize the difference. It's like this internal autopilot that's only dedicated to getting things aligned.
So the moment you set a target, and maybe you don't even realize you're setting it.
Exactly. It could be unconscious.
Your subconscious just instantly starts calculating. Okay, what adjustments do I need to make? Your focus, your emotions, habits, tiny decisions, they all start aligning to hit those coordinates.
It's a continuous self-correcting loop, always working.
Okay, let's move to section 2 then, because this is where, like you said, the engineering gets a bit scary. This powerful tool operates with blind obedience.
Blind obedience.
It doesn't judge the target. Good, bad, realistic, self-destructive. It just locks on. How do we make sure we're not, accidentally aiming this thing at disaster?
That blind obedience, that's the real danger zone. The system's dedication to hitting the target is absolute, even if the target itself is destructive.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so if you program it based on fear, let's say you're constantly thinking, fixating on, I do not want to be broke. Or maybe, I must avoid embarrassing myself in public speaking.
Right. Focusing on the negative you want to avoid.
The system, mechanically, it sort of skips over the negative command, the do not or the avoid.
Wait, why? Why would it ignore the do not? That feels like a design flaw.
It's not really a flaw. It's more just a feature of how the subconscious seems to process these commands. To avoid something, Think about it. The system first has to fully visualize and focus on the very thing you want to avoid.
Oh.
Remember that old test? Do not think about a pink elephant.
Yeah, all I can see is a pink elephant.
Exactly. Your mind has to construct the image, the destination first. So if your daily mental focus, your rehearsal, is all about avoiding failure, the system is constantly practicing failure, visualizing failure, making it easier to actually execute that outcome.
So it steers you towards situations or habits that confirm the fear you're trying to avoid.
Diligently. Yes.
Wow. Okay, that makes a weird kind of sense. So the critical requirement for using this system successfully, it isn't really about willpower or gritting your teeth.
Not primarily, no.
It's the clarity of the coordinates. Foggy aims just don't compute. I just want to be happy, or I want to be more successful. That's like telling a missile, go somewhere nice.
Exactly. It launches without direction. It spins in circles, wastes all that powerful fuel. The coordinates, they have to be vivid, specific, and ideally emotionally compelling enough that they create a really detailed picture in your mind.
So I want more money. It's too vague.
Way too vague. But a programmable coordinate, that might be something like, I am earning 5,000 pounds this month, specifically by delivering X value to my clients, and I feel calm and confident while doing it.
Okay, so that gives it a measurable target, a pathway, even an emotional state to aim for.
Precisely. That's a picture the servo-mechanism can actually lock onto and start calculating the path towards.
Okay, let's talk about the flight path itself.
Yeah.
Because this touches on maybe the biggest block people have, the fear of failure. You said the missile metaphor works because real missiles, they're hardly ever on a perfect trajectory.
Right. They succeed through constant tiny corrections. And this, honestly, this might be the most liberating realization from Maltz's work.
How so?
Your brain does this constant calibration using data, emotional data, sensory data, feeling good, pleasure. That generally means you're aligned, you're on course, discomfort, maybe mild anxiety. That just means you've grifted slightly.
So that bad feeling isn't punishment.
No, not at all. It's pure necessary navigation input. It's feedback. You actually need it to know you're off target so you can correct.
Okay, we have to slow down for this Apollo 11 analogy you mentioned. It sounds incredible. The rocket that landed on the moon, it was off course 97% of the time.
That's the estimate, yes. 97% of the journey between Earth and the moon, that vehicle was technically failing to be on the perfect, straightest path.
97%.
Think about that. Yet, it landed precisely on target. Why? Because the onboard computer never stopped correcting. Not for a second. Measuring, calculating, adjusting. The failure being off course was just data. It wasn't a moral judgment. It wasn't a reason to quit.
That's a huge mindset shift between how amateurs view mistakes and how experts do.
Absolutely.
And the sources really emphasize how this data transmission, this correction process, it works best when you're relaxed, not straining.
Yes. When you're tense, anxious, trying to force the solution, you're effectively jamming your own signal. You create internal noise, you overthink, you self-sabotage.
But the calm mind, the one that trusts the mechanism.
It allows for efficient recalculation. Think about your GPS in the car. If you miss a turn, it doesn't yell at you or call you an idiot.
No, it just calmly says recalculating.
Exactly. And gives you the new route. Your internal system, your servo mechanism, it needs that same calm acceptance of the feedback to operate at its best.
Okay, let's move into some advanced programming concepts then.
Yeah.
How do you set targets that really stick, maybe more permanently? This sounds like it goes beyond just daily goals and shifts into identity.
That's the highest level of programming, according to this model. The idea is that the brain works most powerfully towards confirming what it believes it is right now in the present tense, not what it will be someday.
So if you define yourself as, say, a disciplined writer or a resourceful problem solver,
then every challenge, every opportunity, it becomes a test against that identity.
Right.
And your internal system, the servo mechanism, works faster to align your actions with that definition. It wants to prove the identity correct.
Okay, that puts Muhammad Ali's famous "I am the greatest" into a totally different light.
Doesn't it?
It wasn't just bragging or ego. It was him setting a present tense coordinate, I am this. And then his entire nervous system, his training, his mindset had to work to align with that declared identity.
And you see modern parallels. Think about entrepreneurs who announce these huge, seemingly impossible goals publicly. Elon Musk aiming for Mars, for example.
Right. He faces setbacks constantly. Missed deadlines, rockets exploding.
Exactly. But the repeated failure, the technical hiccups, they don't seem to derail the core mission because that failure is instantly processed as correction data, not as damage to his identity. The identity remains, I am the builder who solves these impossible problems. The setbacks are just feedback on how to solve them.
What's really fascinating, though, is how modern neuroscience is actually validating these ideas Maltz was writing about back in the 60s. Let's talk neuroplasticity. And this theater of the mind idea, mental rehearsal, how does that actually wire the brain?
Well, numerous studies now show that consistent mental rehearsal, vividly imagining performing an action, it fires the same neural circuits as actually doing the action physically.
The same circuits.
Largely, yes. When a dancer visualizes a perfect pirouette, or a surgeon mentally walks through a complex procedure, their motor cortex generates something called an efferent copy. It's basically the brain preparing the signal for movement, even if the body doesn't actually move.
So, okay, when Olympic athletes visualize their race or their routine over and over, they're not just daydreaming or hoping.
No, they're literally pre-programming the servo-mechanism. They are training the muscle memory, the motor patterns, without physical strain. So when they actually step onto the track or the field, their nervous system already accepts that ideal performance as the normal expected output. It reduces the margin for error before they even begin.
And this internal programming, it also affects what we even notice in the world, right?
Okay.
Through the reticular activating system, the RAS.
Absolutely. The RAS, located in your brainstem, acts like a filter or a gatekeeper for all the sensory information flooding your brain every second. It decides what gets your conscious attention.
Can you give us an example of how intention tunes the RAS?
Sure. Classic example. You decide you want to buy a specific type of car, maybe a red convertible. You hadn't really noticed them before.
Yeah.
But the day after you decide, suddenly you see red convertibles everywhere. Parked on streets, driving past, in ads online.
Right. Happens all the time. The cars were always there, though.
Precisely. The universe didn't suddenly produce more red convertibles. Your clear intention, the specific coordinates you set, I want that car, it calibrated your RAS filter. It told your brain, this data stream is now relevant and important. Pay attention to it.
So setting a clear goal literally makes your brain start scanning for tools, people, information that align with it. Things that were invisible before.
Exactly. It makes coincidence start to look like design, because your perception is now tuned to notice the relevant pieces.
And there's a chemical basis for this too. Linking back to Dr. Andrew Huberman's work, visualization plus action strengthens dopamine pathways.
Yes. Dopamine is often called the motivation molecule, but it's more accurately the progress chemical. When you visualize a goal and take even small steps towards it, your brain releases dopamine.
And that reinforces the loop.
It rewards the guidance loop, yes. It basically says, this path is correct, keep going. It tightens the connection between your vision and your execution. But, flip side, if your mental focus is constantly on fear, worry, what you don't want. Cortisol floods the system, the stress hormone. And that hijacks the servo mechanism. It pushes you towards avoidance, freezing up, or fight or flight behaviors. Your biology literally obeys the primary imagery you feed it.
Okay, let's really ground this. Apply this contrast to, say, daily life or work. Imagine two people in the same challenging situation, maybe two entrepreneurs trying to get funding.
Okay. Entrepreneur A is fixated on avoiding rejection. Their internal missile is programmed for don't get rejected. So every no they hear
hits them hard. Feels like personal failure.
Right. It's received as identity damage, confirming their underlying fear. So they slow down, they start second-guessing their pitch, maybe they stop making calls altogether. The system is actually steering them away from the potential yes because the programming is focused on avoiding the no.
Okay, versus Entrepreneur B, how are they programmed?
Entrepreneur B defines clear success metrics. I am securing $5 million by effectively communicating my unique value proposition. Their focus is on the target achieved.
So how do they handle a no?
They treat it as pure mechanical feedback. Data. Was my pitch unclear? Was the market data weak? Do I need a better connection? It's information to recalibrate the approach, not a judgment on their worth.
Same external environment, same rejections.
Radically different internal programming, and therefore a vastly different trajectory over time.
And this really highlights the difference you mentioned between motivation and calibration.
Huge difference. Motivation, it's often emotional fuel. It feels great, but it burns out. You have to keep finding ways to replenish it.
Right.
Calibration, in this psycho-cybernetics view, it's mechanical. It endures because it runs on data, not feelings. It's just about course correction.
So true confidence, then, isn't about puffing yourself up or forcing positive thought.
No, it's calibration. It's trusting that the internal system will correct automatically, even when you feel off course or hit turbulence. And that trust, that's powerful. It frees up so much mental energy that most people waste on self-doubt, worry, internal friction.
Because you don't have to carry the emotional weight of every little deviation.
Exactly. When you trust the mechanism, you can just execute, measure the result, calmly accept the feedback, the data, and make a slight adjustment to the coordinates. Much more efficient.
Okay, so let's make this super practical for you listening. How do you start? Start small but specific.
Yes, start small, make it believable for yourself right now. Pick one clear goal and phrase it in the present tense as if it's already happening or true.
Like, I am completing this difficult report by Friday with focus and a sense of pride. Something like that.
Perfect. See it clearly in your mind. Visualize the finished report, feel the focus, feel the pride. Then, and this is key, release it.
Release it, meaning?
Meaning, don't keep white-knuckling the steering wheel mentally. Don't obsess or constantly check if it's working. Trust the system you've just programmed. Set the coordinate, then act as if it's guiding you.
And your brain will start scanning.
Your brain immediately starts scanning the environment for alignment. You'll start noticing small cues. Maybe an idea pops into your head. You find a useful resource. Someone offers help. Little things that confirm you're moving towards the target.
So the final, maybe most critical, mechanical takeaway here. The difference between people who quit early and those who achieve mastery isn't necessarily raw talent.
Often it's not. It's their tolerance for constant recalibration. It's their willingness to stay in the game long enough for the servo mechanism to process all the feedback, handle that 97% drift we talked about, and find the precise path.
They don't interpret the off-course moments as, I'm a failure.
They interpret it as, okay, adjust the rudder. Success isn't some miracle. It's just the inevitable systematic outcome of persistent guidance and those constant calculated micro-corrections.
And when your missile finally hits that target you set, people on the outside might call it luck.
They often do, because they didn't see the hundreds of quiet adjustments you made internally, the subtle shifts in approach, the commitment to using feedback as data instead of criticism.
You were never really lost. You were just adjusting course.
Constantly adjusting course,
Yeah.
like that moon rocket.
Okay, so a final command for you, the listener, maybe straight from Maltz himself. Tonight, choose one target. Just one.
Write it down. Present tense. I am.
Then close your eyes.
Yeah.
See it clearly. Feel the reality of it already existing. Don't beg for it. Don't wish for it. Just lock on the coordinate.
The secret was never magic. It was always mechanics. Your only job, really, is to keep your mind relatively calm, keep your feedback honest, don't ignore the data, and keep your vision steady on the target.
The countdown has begun.